Hello dear students, welcome back to the YouTube channel of NIRS of class 7 science. Dear students, in the previous class I was discussing regarding the odometer as well as speedometer. So then we discussed about an activity wherein a child went to a picnic, okay, and she has recorded the odometer reading for every half an hour with the time. So she wanted to calculate the distance traveled from the starting point, okay. So that is explained through the distance time graph. So we might have seen the newspapers, magazines, etc. So in there the present information in various forms of graphs, okay, in newspapers, especially magazines. So in order to show the election results or popularity, so they show the information in the various forms of graphs, okay, to make it interesting. Am I right or not? Through different graphs. So this type of graph, which is shown in figure 13.8, is known as bar graph. See, there are variety of graphs are there: pie graph, bar graph, line graph, okay. So in that, so the type of graph which is shown in the figure 13.8, where you can see here, okay, so this is an example for graphical representation method, that is known as bar graph, okay. There is another type of graphical representation of a data or information is pie chart. So how the bar graph is there, like that the information or can also be represented through a graphical representation method, that is known as pie chart. So that is shown in the figure 13.9. Let me show you next page, okay. The graph which is shown in figure 13.10, it is an example for line graph, okay. So there are three types are there. One is bar graph method, another one is pie chart method. The third type of representation of graphical representation, it is known as line graph. So the distance time graph is a line graph, okay. We can show the distance time graph using the line graph better, okay. So let us learn to make such a line graph for this activity, okay. So here, before that, so you just go and give an attention here. So odometer reading at the different times of journey, that is recorded here. See, the time 8 o'clock they started the journey. So the odometer reading was 36,540 kilometer. So distance from the starting point is 0, okay, because it is distance is 0 only beginning. After 8:30, after half an hour, that is at 8:30, 36,560 kilometers it has traveled, okay. So now 20 kilometers is the distance from the starting point. Next 9 o'clock, 36,580, so 40 kilometers is the distance covered. 9:30, 36,600, that is 60 kilometers is the total distance. And at 10 o'clock the distance travel is 36,620 kilometers, that is 80 kilometers is the total distance covered from the starting point. So we need to express this information in the form of graphical representation, that is using a line graph, okay. So let us say that what we can do. So here you can see, as I told you, that figure 13.9 shows you the pie chart. So how we represent the information, see. So now this pie chart, it is used to show the composition of air. So there are, as I told you in the previous classes, the air is combination of many gases. So in order to show that, the best, the information can be best explained and made the people to understand through the pie graphical representation. That's why the pie chart has been used here. See, the green colored part, it shows the oxygen level, out of 100%, the oxygen percent is 21%, okay. So remaining complete 78% is nitrogen gas is present in our atmosphere or air. So only 1%, 0.001 or 0.08 some percent, less than 1%, it is other gases are there. So that is shown through the pie chart. So now look at the figure 13.10, which is a line graph showing change in weight of a man with age. See here, this is very very nice and interesting here. So there will be two axis will be there here. So along the horizontal and along the vertical lines have been drawn. So for that, along one or axis, so what is shown here, the change in the weight in kgs it is given, and along the another axis, that the age of a person is given. How the age of a person changes with the the weight of a person changes with the change in the age, that is shown through a line graph, okay. So line graph is very much useful in such case, okay. So how to do, see here, at age of 2 the weight of a person is 10 kg. At the age of 4, you can see in the diagram, the weight of a person is same 12 kg. So again at the age of 8 is 15 kg, like that the weight went on increasing. And at the age of 22 the weight of a person is 70, has reached, okay. Can you understand now? Yes, okay. Now how to draw this line graph? See, simple. So you have to take a sheet of graph paper. You have seen, I think, graph paper, you have been seen many times. Okay, so you have to take one graph book. So in that you have to take a sheet of graph paper. Okay, so draw two perpendicular to each other on it. You have to draw two lines which are perpendicular to each other on that graph sheet paper. You have to draw two perpendicular, exactly perpendicular lines as shown in the figure 13.11. Okay, here you can see. So you have to take a graph sheet paper and you have to draw two perpendicular lines. So one is in the middle, perpendicular, another one is vertical. Okay, so you have to draw two perpendicular lines. Okay, and mark the horizontal line as xox bar. Okay, so horizontal line you have to give the name as xox dash. Okay, you can see here xox dash. You have to mark as xox dash. And y dash. Okay, vertical line as y dash. Okay, which is known as the origin O. So that O is known as origin. Okay, the two quantities between which the graph is drawn are showing along these two axes. See, the two quantities between which the graph is going to be drawn. So which are the two quantities you are going to draw? Okay, those quantities have been shown in the graph. Okay, that have to be shown in the graph. So they are shown along these two axes, along these horizontal and vertical axis they are shown. Okay, so now we should also show the positive value on the x-axis along yx. See, along the yx you have to show the positive line. Okay, positive points, positive numbers, your values you have to show along the yx. Okay, yes, along the y-axis. Next, and positive values are shown, and in this chapter we shall also see, we should show the positive lines along the vertical axis, that is OY. Okay, along the OY you have to show the positive values along the OY. So in this chapter we all consider only the positive values of the quantities. Okay, along OX, along OY. Okay, so you have to show only the positive quantities in this chapter. Okay, so now therefore we shall use only the shaded part of the graph to show the shown in the figure 13.11. See, to represent the given information, we should use only the shaded portion. What you can see, shaded portion is there, no red, little the reddish color type. Okay, that shaded portion only we have to use to show the representation of the graph which is shown in the figure 13.11. Okay, so Bhuja and Paheli, what they found out that the distance traveled by that car and the time taken by the car to cover that distance. Okay, they found out already what is the distance traveled by the car and what is the time taken to cover it, the distance. Okay, so their data is shown in the table 13.6 already. Okay, so look at here, table 13.6, the motion of a car. So what are the two quantities? One is the time taken for a vehicle to cover the distance, another quantity is distance traveled. So along OX either you have to take the distance traveled, and along the OY you have to take the time, or else along the OX you have to take the time taken, and along the OY you can take the distance traveled. Okay, so in one value quantity you have to take along OX or x-axis, and one value you have to take quantity you have to take along y-axis, that is OY. Okay, so here in the beginning the time is 0 and distance traveled is also 0. It is in origin. Okay, so next, the time when it's cover 1 minute, the distance traveled is 1 kilometer. When it has covers 2 minutes, then the distance traveled is 2 kilometer. When it takes 3 minutes, then the distance traveled is 3 kilometer. So like that, up to 5 minutes it takes 5 kilometer. Okay, so like that, so you can make the graph by following the steps which are given below here. So what you need to do is draw two perpendicular lines to perpendicular the two axes. You have to draw the two perpendicular lines to represent, to mark, okay, two axes. Okay, and mark them as two axes as OX and OY as in figure 13.11. So you have to draw the two perpendicular lines to represent the two axes. Okay, so and mark them as OX and OY. Okay, and decide the quantity to be shown along the axis and that to be shown along the y-axis. You have to decide yourself which which one quantity you have to show along the axis and that to be which is shown along the y-axis. Either you can take along the x-axis time taken and along the y-axis distance traveled, or else reverse. Along the x-axis you can take the distance traveled, or along the y-axis you can take the time taken. So whatever, anything you can represent, but both should be different. Okay, so dear students, let me stop here and let me continue the remaining concept in the next class. Thank you and have a nice day.